the whole thing's not going to make any sense at all. Right, so we're in After Effects. We've created a 1 second composition. Again, it's not perfect, but it's something that you can tweak in order to make it perfect. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to nest this composition that we've made into a new composition. So usual drill, composition new, and this is going to be our scene. So let's call it walk scene. Obviously this can be your level that you've made. The preset 1080p is fine. Make sure you haven't got anything else open, otherwise the computer's going to lag. The background colour, let's just make that a nice colour to work off. So I'm going to go with a turquoisey green kind of colour. Click OK. Right, so we've got a new composition, and like I said, we're going to nest in the walk cycle that we've made. So in our project window on the left hand side, we find our walk cycle character, and we literally just click it and drag it into our new composition. So there we go. So you can see in the timeline that it's only 1 second in length. That's because we made it 1 second. And we can see that it walks, and then when it reaches 1 second, it's just going to disappear. And that's what we want it to do for the time being. Okay, so in order for us to make a loop, what we need to do is we need to tell the computer now to stretch this out so the composition lasts, or that layer lasts for a longer period of time. So it's dead simple. What we're going to do is we're going to do a time remap. So we right click on our layer, we go to time, and we're going to go to enable time remapping. And you can see that when we did that, our layer changes. So we've got these 2 keyframes to work off. Okay, so first things first, we're going to stretch out from the right hand side of that layer. So you go to the right hand side of the layer till the cursor changes, or the icon changes. And we're going to stretch it so that layer now lasts for the full length of the animation. So it will still disappear. Oh no, it doesn't, it just stays still. But that's a good thing. So all the movement that we've got happens in between that keyframe there and that keyframe there. So 0 seconds and 1 second. Right, so let me just explain time remapping for you. So when you remap time, time is now represented using these keyframes. So that keyframe there, the first keyframe, represents 0 frames within inside this composition. So if I just double click into that composition, it represents that moment in time here. So 0 frames. Let's come out of that. And this keyframe represents 1 second. But 1 second within this composition, not necessarily within this composition. So if I were to take that second keyframe and then kind of move that over to 4 seconds in this composition, even though we're at 4 seconds, the computer thinks that we're at 1 second because it's reacting to that composition, not necessarily to this one. So by doing that and making that gap bigger, it then remaps time and it makes that walk cycle slower. And by doing that, it remaps all the different kind of like frames and stuff within that. So it's just a really nice way of making something slow-mo if you wanted to make something slow-mo. But what we can also do with it, just put it back, is as long as we've only got 2 keyframes to work with, we can create a loop in between that keyframe and that keyframe, so it will constantly go back and forth. So to make a loop, we're going to use some expression code, which we've looked at before. And just to remind you, in order to add expression code, you need to hold Alt on the keyboard, and then you click on a keyframe stopwatch that you want to apply that code to. So because we're applying it to the time remap, I'm holding Alt and I'm clicking on the stopwatch for the time remap. You have to press Alt. If you don't press Alt on the keyboard, it will just get rid of all the keyframes that exist within that thing. Okay, so time remap is an expression on its own. As you can see that because it's already got right in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add to that. So in order to add extra code into it, you can add it manually by typing it in, but the easiest way to do it is to do it from the expressions library. So alt click and stopwatch. We follow the word expression timing map over to the right. You can see a little drop down menu, which is a little arrow saying expression language menu. I'm going to click on that. We're going to go down to property, and we're going to go up to the one about halfway up called loop out. Okay, and it adds this bit of kind of code in there. So it's a cycle loop, which means it will constantly loop until you tell it not to. So if I click away from that now, what that expression code is doing is it's recognizing the first keyframe and the last keyframe, and it's just going to constantly loop over and over and over again. So if I hit play now, it's just creating a constant loop based on those two keyframes. So in essence, we've got a character walking on the spot. If we want that character to walk from left to right, then all we need to do is animate the position of that character to move from left to right in sequence to the walk cycle itself. So you can blag it, so you can just hit P for position, start here, move across a few seconds, let's say 4, and then try to kind of guess where it's going to move to. But by doing that, you can often make it look like the character's kind of sliding. It doesn't quite look right. So what I'm going to show you is just a bit more of a technical way to do that. Right, so let me do that, and let me show you how to do it. Okay, so using these rulers again, what we're going to do, just going to zoom in a little bit. At 0 seconds, we're going to, from the left hand side, just put a ruler in to where the heel is on that front leg. Okay, so the reason we're doing that is because we're going to use this front leg as a pivot. If I then scroll across on my timeline to the moment in time where the other foot kind of reaches that, it's not going to be totally accurate, but that will do. What we're going to do now is move our character, or the back foot of the character, to hit that line. There we go. So the back, this is the heel of that foot. So when we move over, the heel of that foot stays in the same position. So it acts as a pivot. Once we've done that, we can then go over to the next one. It's about there. We can add in new guide, add a manual keyframe in, and then move that heel over to reach it. So at all times, oops, messed up there, haven't I? Yes, I did. Let's go back a step. The first one works. Put that on the heel. And change the heel. That's better. So our character is always pivoting and moving off one foot. And there you go. So you just keep doing that over and over again. At any point you want to go into that composition and adjust the walk cycle, you can do just by going into it and then giving it a tweak as in how you kind of need it to to tweak. So that's it. Spend more time on it. It will look better than mine. And just keep saving your work. Control S in it all the time. There we go.